My name is Jeff H. Sipe from PracticeInterviews.com. Check out our website. We have a host of services and a lot of free resources as well. In this video, we are going to cover a common Googleyness question. It's coming up a lot, and that's, tell me about a time you were asked to do something unethical. This is a tricky question. So of course, the number one item I want you to focus in on is positivity. Then, what we're going to talk through at the end is we're going to talk through a couple potential scenarios you might have faced where you actually didn't take the right course of action. That's one. And then secondarily, maybe you've been fortunate enough in your career to have never been asked to do something unethical. We'll take that challenge on as well. And then lastly, of course, we'll provide a sample example for you. If you like my content, please like. If you have any comments, please comment below. And if you like my overall content, please subscribe. Item one, I've talked about this a lot. It's focus on actions. So what do I mean specifically? Sometimes we've noticed with clients, with candidates, that there's a huge setup, especially with an unethical situation. They feel like they need to uncover a lot of the reasons why this unethical item was coming up. Simply put, just talk about your role in company, who the specific person who is introducing the unethical item, person or group, and then what specifically were they introducing, and then how you tackled that specific challenge. Item two, positive intent. So sometimes to hit targets, to hit goals, to make sure that we are achieving for our client, achieving for the business, sometimes people lose a little bit of sight of that line of what's ethical and what's unethical. And so we always want to go in with this lens, this positive intent lens, and just go in with thinking, oh, they were trying to do the right thing, but maybe they just got a little confused, or maybe they just didn't see the line that they were crossing, etc. So going in with positive intent, it's such a good lens, and it's such a Googleyness item. So you really want to mention and be talking about this positive intent piece. And that correlates really well with item three, empathy. You just always want to be practicing empathy. We really don't know what's going on in this person's life. We don't know maybe some of the pressures or challenges that they're facing. So the positive intent coupled with this empathetic lens will be really impactful in giving your answer as well. Item four, one-on-one. So ideally in these scenarios, you are talking about how you faced and handled this challenge in a one-on-one scenario. Now, sometimes something comes up that's unethical and we jump to it, right? We jump into it in a meeting because it just needs to be covered right away. But ideally, you are talking about this one-on-one piece. And the most critical piece here is helping me understand the urgency. Because urgency with these one-on-ones, especially when something unethical comes up. So how did you reach out? How did you engage with them? And then that's a great segue into how did you prep for that meeting with them? So oftentimes we hear from clients and candidates that they just went into the meeting, they worked it out, and it was great. But usually you're going to do a little bit of prep work with these unethical items. So before stepping into that meeting, what did you research? What kind of data did you gather? How did you organize that data? Did you speak with any others before going into this meeting to gather data or do anything else that was going to be important to get your point of view across? Item six, the meeting. Put me in the room. So you'll hear me say this a lot, but how did you kick off the meeting? What specific types of questions did you ask? Did you tell this person why you were meeting with them? How did you bring up and talk through those specific data points? Did you bring a quick presentation to the meeting? Did you whiteboard it out? Did you write down an action plan? Help me really understand the dialogue. This is the most critical component of your answer, seeing that one-on-one interaction. So really focus in on putting me in the room and what you did. Item seven, solutions. So I don't want to just talk about that initial conversation. I want to talk about the solutions and how you implemented those solutions. So you're not going to just say we solved for it. You're going to talk me through how you brought up those solutions, how you worked through those solutions, and then you'll get into item eight, the results. I really want to know how you were able to have success without taking this unethical step. And what your relationship looks like with this person today because you stepped up and you said what you needed to say. And then lastly, any repeatable process from what you put in place because this unethical item happened. The repeatable piece, critical. Item 9, learnings. Not all behavioral answers need learnings, but in this particular type of question, learnings are really important. The biggest thing to remember with learnings are high level and succinct. So think like 15 to 20 seconds, just highlight one item that you thought was critical for moving forward in this type of scenario. Okay, let's flip over. Let's talk about item 10, wrong path. Sometimes in our careers, we were asked to do something unethical and we either went along with it or maybe we just said no, but we didn't report it, we didn't escalate it, we let it happen. And this is where I just want you to go back to that first item, really present that very clear situation, and then we are specifically going to jump right into learnings. What I learned by not taking the right actions was A, B, and C. And then the last piece you'll bring in is the applied learning. So it's not an applied learning to a future unethical situation because we would just bring up that specific story. But what we might talk about is we might talk about just something that we learned from a communication perspective, from an interaction perspective, having a bigger voice, whatever it might be. You really want to talk about that applied learning because that will holistically put a great answer together even though you didn't do the right thing. This demonstrates growth. Growth is a big part of Googleyness. Item 11, good fortune. So I've read some articles that say you've always faced something unethical in the job. That's just not the case. Sometimes we've been very fortunate to have not been in one of those scenarios. And in these cases, you need to exactly state that to your interviewer and propose another option. So what does this actually sound like? To our interviewer, Sue, it might be simply, Sue, I have had great fortune in my career to never been asked to do anything unethical. I have a couple of other options that we can talk about. One, I can talk about a time where I didn't agree with a business directive and the steps I took there, or I could focus more on a conflict type of example. What do you prefer? That's just going to be a great path because both of those answers will be relatively similar to what they're trying to uncover in the unethical answer, which is just kind of trying to understand how you deal with people conflict, people resolution, what you do in tricky and challenging scenarios. Item 12, sample example. We will take the prompt from Sue. Jeff, tell me about a time you were asked to do something unethical. Sue, this is from my time as an account/partner manager at Facebook, focused on SMB clients in the ad space. And in December of 2020, at the end of a team meeting, our team lead asked us for any client that had a big renewal coming up in January to push some of the money into December to hit our target because we were about 10% behind. Obviously, me and the team felt this was unethical. Let me tell you about the actions I took. So the first action I took was no response from any of us in the meeting. I pinged all 4 of my teammates and just made sure that we agreed that this was unethical and we weren't going to do it. The second action was just to say, hey, I want to take the lead on this. Is that okay? Everybody agreed. And then the third piece was I asked for any creative ideas that I might bring to the table for how to problem solve how we might make up the difference on this number in December. And lastly, I found time on my lead's calendar later the same day, and I followed up via ping with them as well to say, hey, it's pretty urgent that we meet. I have something I want to discuss with you. In this meeting, when I hopped on the video with my lead, I just asked a couple of really simple open-ended questions, how they were doing, how they felt the team was doing, and I really empathized with their request to hit the numbers, especially because we had been facing some unanticipated losses. And then I paused again just to get their thoughts, hear from them. And then what I talked about is that I said, look, I know we need to hit these goals, but that I had talked with the team and we all felt uncomfortable with this approach and that we had brainstormed specifically a few options. We wanted to see if the team lead could speak to their leadership to see if we could get any last minute discounts. We also wanted to see if we could work with Jane's team, which was a similar team, to see if we could get some help to push some more clients through. And then lastly, I offered to do a half-day option. We all agreed that we would open up our calendars on Friday afternoon to meet. My lead thanked me for giving this feedback and agreed to both options 1 and 3. And they said that they would also talk to their leadership to find out about any discounts. We all cleared our schedules for that brainstorming session on that Friday, my lead included, and we absolutely brought in a couple stakeholders from other teams to help us ideate, and we mapped out multiple options to achieve our goal. This included the small discounts, which was approved. We wanted to do a referral push, and we really wanted to get it approved, and Jane agreed to allow 2 of her members to work with us 2 days per week for the last couple weeks that we would be able to do this push. The result, we actually didn't achieve our target, but we only missed it by a few percentages. So we missed it specifically by 3%. More importantly, my lead really thanked not only me, but the team for holding them accountable. And it really fostered and built a stronger relationship with us moving forward. And then the last cool thing was that this discount piece was actually repeatable. We created a discount process for newer clients that is now being utilized on a quarterly basis. So we're actually working on it right now. The biggest learning here was the power of data and options. Always go in with that empathetic lens, but if you bring in data and options, it presents solutions and a chance, an opportunity to do the right thing. Like any sample example I provide, it's not perfect. It could be worked through. Maybe it's a little bit on the longer side. You'll always want to go back and practice and fix your answers, but this is the foundation of what it might look like. To sum up, just really focus in on the structure, really think through these unethical questions. The likelihood of you getting this in a Googleyness interview is pretty high. I really hope this video helps. Thanks.